This is Midweek Politics with Dave Pakman.
Welcome back to Midweek Politics. Send us your email, radio@midweekpolitics.com, and plenty of your emails coming up. Hey, well, there's more Vatican hijinks. It seems every week, Lewis, it's getting worse. We haven't had a week off from some kind of not good news, to put it lightly, for the Vatican for probably a month or a month and a half now. It turns out that, well, I don't know if you knew this, Lewis, but it was extremely common in the from 1900 to 1950 for Catholic parents to pledge their firstborn son to the priesthood and the firstborn daughter to the sisterhood. And this apparently must have made a lot of people very angry, because it turns out there were a lot of members of the Catholic Church who were taking their rage out on a lot of these kids. There's a leading German bishop who was personally appointed by Pope Benedict, who was accused of ritually beating and punching children at a church-run home during the late 1970s and the 80s. There's 5 former residents who are coming out against Walter Mixa, who's a controversial conservative churchman who, again, was appointed by Pope Benedict in 2005. They're accusing him of hitting and degrading them during punishment sessions at a home in Bavaria. Bishop Mixa's diocese yesterday rejected the allegation as absurd, untrue, and obviously invented in order to defame the bishop. I don't know why it's obviously untrue. There's zero evidence that these people so much later would come out and make something up that, to be honest, Lewis, is completely believable and in line with what the Catholic Church is more and more known for. The allegations emerged as the Vatican prepares a legal defense it hopes will shield the Pope from a lawsuit in the U.S., which would be the first of its kind. That would be great. Can you imagine if the Pope actually had to come to the U.S. and be a defendant in a lawsuit?
Unimaginable.
It's unimaginable, but it would be fascinating. And it doesn't seem...
It would be truly epic.
And based on the information we have, it doesn't seem unwarranted. In Germany, a former resident of the home in the Bavarian town, who is now 48 years old, where Bishop Mixa was a priest, told the newspaper that at age 15, the bishop dragged her from her bed and punched her repeatedly. And here's a quote: "He grabbed me by the nightshirt, pulled me up out of my bed, and punched me repeatedly on the upper arm. Afterwards, it was covered in bruises," she said. "The 2 years at St. Joseph's were the worst in my life." It's really incredible. And here's something unbelievable. The Catholic Church in Germany actually set up a hotline in response to all the recent pedophilia and abuse allegations. I will use the term allegations, at least for now, to field phone calls from people who needed help, victims of sexual abuse, that is. And they called in 4,500 times on the first day, and this is just Germany. And the church is saying that the problem is being overstated. 4,500 phone calls in one day to a sexual abuse counseling line. They weren't even able to field that many calls, obviously. They weren't equipped for that. It's incredible. And then we hear at the same time that some are saying the Catholic Church is being persecuted just like the Jews used to be. Obviously, that sermon setting off another controversy. It's getting absurd. At least they aren't dropping hints yet, saying that this has all been blown up by the Jewish media. We know they've done that in the past. I suppose that's progress. A senior Vatican priest ignited a fresh chapter in debate by comparing criticism of the Church and Pope Benedict to the persecution and collective violence against Jews. Lewis, correct me if I'm wrong. The Jews weren't beating and raping anyone. They were on the receiving end of that, right?
And the violence is not being done to people of the Catholic Church.
It's being done by them.
By them, right.
Well, I think the argument being made is that Pope Benedict is just getting pummeled, figuratively, by these criticisms. No, it's the Church that is doing the violence. The Jews weren't doing the beating. They weren't doing the raping. And it's the Church that is doing that. So therefore, there is no comparison. Obviously, Jewish groups calling it repulsive. There's calls for the priest to resign. There's calls for the Pope to address this. The statement obviously also angered victims groups who say the Church and the priests who are preying on generations of Catholic children are portraying themselves as the victims. They are not the victims here.
This is crazy. And Bavaria is one of the most Catholic places in the world. It's
and you've been there, right?
Yeah.
And you had no run-ins with any of these priests, I hope.
No, I did not. But
you did visit churches.
Many, yes.
Midweek Politics is brought to you in part by Jackson & Connor, classically modern men's apparel in Northampton, Massachusetts on the second floor of Thorne's Marketplace, and by DIF Design, specializing in custom business websites at difdesign.com. To find out more about underwriting Midweek Politics, visit midweekpolitics.com.